So I remember it was cranberry juice and vodka, a combination I have not been able to drink again properly. And फिर याद नहीं आता है actually. I don't think at that moment I thought it was unconsensual or anything. I was just like, why are my clothes not here? Why am I hurting?
So you can't joke about rape. Rape's not funny. I say, F you. I think it's hilarious. How do you like that? I can prove to you that rape is funny.
Yeah, I know that joke was sexist and confusing, but it was funny.
I am not sexist, but I'm also not a feminist. I am happy.
But how can you call it rape culture? What is rape culture?
Simply put, rape culture is a setting where rape is widespread and normalized. It's a society where everyone is blaming someone else for sexual violence while themselves being a part of the problem. Rape culture is a society that wants to punish perpetrators but does not want to change its own behavior. Rape culture is our society, where we're happy to pay to watch the same thing that we protest on the streets against.
The person in question, my perpetrator, is somebody I'd been seeing for a year. And somewhere halfway through, I got so... like I couldn't take it anymore. So in a move of, I think, utter stupidity, I sort of... I suggested that we go drinking. And to sort of add to the story, this is the first time I'd ever drunk, because till then I was like this very small town girl. Oh my god, alcohol peene se AIDS hota hai types. So I remember it was cranberry juice and vodka, a combination I have not been able to drink again properly. And फिर याद नहीं आता है actually. And so like the next clear memory I have is being like hit, okay, on the face once. So like fatak one landed on my face. And that's when I think I sort of stirred and I said, okay, something is not quite okay at the moment. So then I looked down and I discovered that my clothes are gone. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. I wasn't anticipating this to happen. But fine, okay, I don't have clothes, cool. Then I look down and there are these like bruises here, sort of like hickey-like bruises or whatever. If you hit someone and like the blood clots and something. So I was like, okay, this is also weird. And my head was hurting, because hangover type, whatever. I don't think at that moment I thought it was unconsensual or anything. I was just like, why are my clothes not here? Why am I hurting? So it took me 3 years to use the word rape properly. Like till then I was dodging around date rape. Actually there was an intoxicated incident where my consent might have been initiated, but I don't know, shayad, pata nahi, actually he's actually a nice guy, maybe. Date rape is a phrase, one of my friends asked me after I broke up with him finally, that dude, we heard you were date raped, why didn't you speak up about it? So I was like, why have I not used that word before in my head? Because that's kind of what happened, right?
How do we create a rape culture? We add a catchy music track. We add great visual effects. We cue good-looking women thrusting their hips at the camera. We make the perpetrator look appealing, so it's hard to find fault in him. And we pay for this.
Do you watch item numbers? Do you watch movies that...
Since a part of movies, we watch them, I guess. Yeah.
This is actually a very powerful withholding of consent. Sheila is happy to dance for you. Sheila is happy to allow you to admire her body. But anything beyond that is purely on Sheila's terms. Sheila's no means no. And while this may be empowering in itself, the problem is people will have to first stop staring at Sheila for long enough to hear her message.
So, how is this not empowering? I want to make an appeal first to logic. When we're talking about sex objects, we're talking about dichotomies, right? Think of black and white, yes, no, two kind of opposing categories. When we're thinking about sex objects, we're thinking about the object-subject dichotomy. Subjects act, objects are acted upon. So even if you become the perfect object, the perfect sex object, you are perfectly subordinate because that position will always be acted on. So there's not power in being a sex object when you think about it logically.
So yeah, now I'm hoping to set up a more sensitized campus, and we need more clarity on consent and active consent and stuff like that. With an intoxication, I really think if you're fairly sober enough and the girl is definitely not fairly sober and the situation is such that you're in a position of somewhat power and the situation is kind of ugly and the first time the girl is drinking, I think it's pretty black and white. Just don't.
No, why us?
Not at all. We don't blame ourselves ever. No.
Not us at least.
I mean, I'm guilty of the rape culture myself. I can't say anything. I'm very guilty of it myself. I would always be like, array, why is she? Maybe she led him on. If she took a present from him and then later she didn't agree to go out with him, didn't she lead him on? I've made these remarks myself. I've been an absolute a lot of times. But now, I can safely say now that I am not.
Sometimes, if I'm going out, like if somebody says something to me, I look down because I don't want to create a scene just in case, they harm me. That way maybe I am.
It's difficult. You can separate yourself from the action, but you can't separate yourself from 300 million people in that country or a billion people here, except simply by the action. But, we're all part of the same world together, so, we're all in it together.
So I didn't report the incident formally. When I came back, my roommate, her initial reaction was, dude, if you're sticking by this statement, now you have to go and file a complaint. And my brain wasn't processing that. A couple of my close friends were informing me about mess table conversations or terrace conversations, usually in the boys' hostel. One, it was intoxication, so really come on, every girl makes up a drunk story, next day I was so hungover. I mean, every girl makes up a fake story because she was drunk and now she's vindictive and revengeful, because it's so easy to make up fake stories, right? That's one strand. The second strand I got was, she's so promiscuous anyway, is there really any consent? These are things I heard, and at an abstract level it's alarming. It's alarming that you would write off something that's so difficult to come out about. And a lot of times, when I hesitated in that 1 week, should I just tell someone, should I complain? A lot of my friends said, listen, are you sure? Don't complain, because given it's a small campus, everyone will know who it is. Think of what you're doing there. Yeah, society shames you a lot on a lot of external factors. The sole fact of your abuse is not ever a consideration. So either people were actively sliming me or they were indifferent. So indifference, I think, is a more lethal poison than active angst, because at least when people are sliming you, you know whom to stay away from. The collective mass of apathy is really bad. It discourages speaking up. We have this idea of the perfect victim. If you ever consented to have sex with your perpetrator at any point of time, there's immediately a shadow cast on you. Because jo ladki deti hai, hamesha hi degi. Then there has to be lots of like blood and struggle and screaming and shouting. Then there has to be an immediate medical examination and like records, and you have to cry and break down and be all sad, and your life has to be over after that. That didn't happen with me, man. If it was a typical rape, okay, screaming, shouting, marpeet, it's as traumatic, but people tend to believe you more. Yeah. I've caught myself wishing it was, which is a very morbid thought to have for anybody in that position.
Let's show the world what it means to be a real man. Be a man. Real men don't rape.
Well, I guess people who are not harmful to others, people who, have some semblance of self-control.
There's nothing as a real man. Like, you can't say real man. You could... I don't think that would be a term we can use.
No.
No, not at all. Of course not.
No.
Totally no.
Obviously not.
Make some noise for the Desi Boys! D-Boys!
This dude was what you would consider a very man luck. He drinks his protein shakes and like works out and shit, and he has the biceps and the attitude and the chauvinism and the hamari auraton ko haath mat lagao type. So he would be what you would typify as a sleemer. I mean, I understand the branding behind this. They're like, yeah, if you want to be a real man, you're not going to be wild. But it would be nicer if they could start younger and just indoctrinate boys with the idea that like it's the normal thing to do, to not rape someone.
Exactly. Instead of glorifying the fact
Don't glorify it. You have to call out on a campaign of shame. Just start shaming the perpetrator, not glorifying the normal. I'm in somewhat disagreement with the real men don't rape thing.
The more we glorify real men, the less we acknowledge that real men are all around us. And yes, that real men do rape. Acknowledging this reality is the first step towards creating meaningful change.
So the perfect perpetrator typically has to be a stranger, somebody who's not so educated, somebody who's like manly. It can't be a liberal feminist from an institute of higher learning. It can't be somebody you know or I know. It can't be you, me, her, him. It's completely possible for you to be a feminist and commit an act against a woman. I have made a lot of sexist statements against women myself. I'm claiming that as well. It's possible. Like, maybe I haven't taken it to the next level and like assaulted someone, but one person's assault is another person's affection. Like, I enjoy giving hugs to people. Maybe somebody else is uncomfortable with it. The perfect perpetrator doesn't exist as much as the perfect victim doesn't exist. We should be more willing to open our minds up to the possibility that within each of us there's a potential to become a perpetrator, whether we know it or not. I think that requires a step more than anything else. Yeah. No? One is I built up the alcohol capacity of a Russian soldier. So now, blackouts, I recall only like one since that day. I don't black out. I've also become like I think that involves a lot of heavy drinking to get there from a point where you would black out. So yeah, as in that's bad. I kind of substance abused my way through a lot of, like I used to sleep drunk and wake up drunk and attend class stoned and just stay high a lot of times and not out of pleasantness. Secondly, I just started hooking up left, right, center with all sizes, shapes, sexes. And a lot of times I'd be drunk at a party, somebody would express interest and I wouldn't say no because I was scared, like if I say no they still go on, what's going to happen? Now I'm not scared anymore. What do I have to lose? I think anybody who would deny me an opportunity because of me speaking up about sexual harassment, or anybody who would discriminate against me, or anybody who would be less comfortable talking to me, those aren't employers or friends or associates that I want to have anything to do with in the first place.
Privilege is a wonderful thing because it works in our favor. It offers us insulation from the guilt that we all share. But what it also offers us is the ability to opt out of it. So ask yourself, I may not be a rapist, but what role have I played in creating one?